Thanks, Pierce. Now Chris Kilcommons will lay a reed on behalf of all those who died and was executed and died for the cause in this county. Thanks, Chris. The Provisional Government of the Irish Republic to the people of Ireland, Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and the dead generations from which she receives her old tradition of nationhood. Ireland, through us, summons her children to her flag and strikes for her freedom. Having organised and trained her manhood through a secret revolutionary organisation, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and through her open military organisation, the Irish Volunteers, and the Irish Citizen Army, having patiently perfected her discipline, has resolutely waited for the right moment to reveal itself. She now seizes that moment, and supported by our exiled children in America and by gallant allies in Europe, is relying in the first on her own strength. She strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies, to be sovereign and indefeasible. The long obsession and the right by a foreign people and government has not extended the right, nor it can ever be extinguished, except by the destruction of the Irish people. In every generation, the Irish people have asserted themselves their rights to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the past 300 years, they have asserted it in arms. Standing on that fundamental right, and again asserting it in arms in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign independent state. And we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to the cause of its freedom, of its welfare, of its exaltation among the nations. The Irish Republic is guaranteed to and hereby claims the allegiance of every Irishman and every Irish woman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities of all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and to all its parts, cherishing all the children of the nation equally, and oblivious of the differences carefully fostered by an alien government, which have divided a minority from the majority in the past, until our arms has brought the opportune moment for the establishment of a permanent national government, representative of the whole people of Ireland and elected by the suffrages of all our men and women. The provisional government hereby constituted will administer the civil and military affairs of the Republic in trust for the people. We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessings we invoke upon our arms, and we pray that no one who serves that cause will dishonour it by cowardice, inhumanity or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valour and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny of which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas J. Clark, Sean McDermott, Thomas McDonough, Pádraig Pearse, Eamon Cant, James Connolly and Joseph Plunkett. Now I call on Adrian here from Cross in Mayo, and who a close relation of his mother, Sean Maguire, was in one of those people that was executed on that day, the 11th of April, 1923. So I call on Adrian to read the Galway Roll of Honour.
County Galway Roll of Honour, Oakland to Hearden. Commandant Michael Morden, Commandant Lee Mellows, Commandant Thomas David Duggan, Commandant Louis Darcy, Commandant John Higgins, Joseph Donlan, Volunteer Seamus Amalia, Volunteer John Hanlon, Michael Mullins, Lieutenant Dan McCormack, Volunteer Sean Mulvoy, Vice Commandant Thomas Hanley, Patrick Clunan, Commandant Martin Burke, Commandant Michael Walsh, Vice Commandant Thomas Hughes, Lieutenant John New, Commandant Frank Conan, Volunteer Thomas Collins, Volunteer Martin Moylan, Michael Walsh, Volunteer Marchie Moylan, Volunteer Patrick Loughnane, Volunteer Harry Loughnane, Volunteer Hubert Tully, F. O'Malley, Volunteer Christy Folan, Commandant Tony Darcy, Tom Egan, Volunteer Jack McDonough, Father Michael Griffin, Mrs. Ellen Quinn, Commandant Joe Howley, Adjutant Seamus Quirk, Martin Davitt, Captain Jack Lohan, Volunteer James Keogh, Tom Mullins, Paddy Halvey, Volunteer James Kerwin, Michael Curtins, Captain Willie Freeney, Joe Mulray, Lieutenant Stephen Joyce, Volunteer Michael Monaghan, Volunteer Hubert Collins, Volunteer Willie Walsh, Volunteer Michael Malloy, Captain Joseph Attai, Volunteer Michael Hode, Lieutenant Sean Maguire, Volunteer Brendan Donlan, Volunteer Thomas Whelan, Volunteer John Gahan, J.J. Gallagher, Volunteer P.O. Reardon, Volunteer Tom Jones, and Volunteer Pat Morrissey. All of the above gave their lives for an All-Ireland 32 county republic. Was.
Thanks, Adrian. Thanks. And now I call on Colette Heady, member of Cumbernaman, one of the crowd that never changed through all the splits and divisions that ever came. Cumbernaman always stayed firm. And I'll call on her to read the Easter statement from the leadership of the Republican movement.
Easter statement from the leadership of the Republican movement. On this, the 106th anniversary of the Easter Rising, the leadership of the Republican movement sends greetings to Irish men and Irish women at home and abroad. We welcome home Jonathan Hawthorne, who was incarcerated in Portlaoise Prison as a political prisoner. Well done, Jonathan, for your dignified stand under stressful conditions. As we go forward, let us not forget our comrades who have passed on since last Easter, and we especially remember Volunteer Dan Hoban, Chief of Staff of the Irish Republican Army. We take this opportunity to send salutations to Sinn Féin Poblacht, the true Sinn Féin organisation. Your principled stand is in total contrast to the quislings that brought your name into Leinster House and Stormont. Their grovelling apologies for IRA actions for their own electoral benefit is treachery. They have no right or authority to speak on behalf of the Republican movement. We declare that we are the one true Republican movement. Our history tells us that we have never deviated from our Republican position our responsibilities bestowed on us by a previous generation. 100 years ago, our republic was betrayed and abandoned by reformist elements in positions of great authority. The reformists won a dull vote on the Treaty of Surrender through fear of immediate and terrible war by the British government. However, our comrades of that generation did not give in to the threats and hand over our republic to the British Free State Alliance. Volunteers of previous years struggled along with new recruits, continued with the struggle. Every generation of Republicans have done so let this generation be no different. To every Irishman and woman, and especially the youth, who honestly believe in the cause of Irish republicanism, we take this opportunity to say to you to take a step forward and join the ranks of the Republican movement. We will not be found wanting in welcoming you into the ranks. We have the motivation and experience to provide you with leadership with which to play your part as a dutiful citizen of the Irish Republic in opposing the British occupation in the 6 counties. The Republican movement wants quality, not quantity. We are aware of foreign and native attempts to infiltrate us. We are also aware of the confusion among the people as to who is the Republican movement. Once again, let us be clear. The Republican movement consists of its constituent branches, including Sinn Féin Próglaach, Cumann na Món, and the Fianna Éireann. Confusion is caused by the many groups which cropped up over the last 2 decades, originating from the reformist 1986 betrayal. Put your trust in our organisation, which has never deviated from the true path of Irish republicanism. To the Irish abroad, our exiled children, as the 1916 proclamation called you, once again we call on you for assistance. We ask you to follow in the footsteps of Michael Flannery and George Harrison. Your help will be very much appreciated. Wherever Irish communities are found throughout the world, so too should a branch of the Republican movement. The British state is pumping billions of pounds into the security infrastructure of the 6 occupied counties. Is this a sign of British disengagement or that a settlement has been reached? No, it is not. The Irish people must be aware that there is nothing normal about the 6 county state or Stormont, as it is being portrayed by the partitionist political elite and a compliant media. There are more security personnel per capita in the 6 counties than in any part of Britain or the 26 counties. As long as the 6 counties are occupied, Irish Republicans will continue to oppose Britain's presence here. MI5 agents are placed throughout Ireland. Britain remains on a war footing to hold our 6 counties. We continue to uphold the traditional Republican policy that we oppose all military power blocks, and we reject the recent demands by some Free State politicians to end the policy of neutrality and join NATO. The hypocrisy of Free State leaders as they support the right of the people in a foreign country to use armed struggle against an invader, while denying the right of the Irish people to do likewise. The Red Ireland of the British presence is striking. But then the Free State is a British creation, as is partition. On the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday in Derry, it was indeed sickening to see Irish citizens cheering and welcoming the Para Prince Charles Windsor on a recent visit to Ireland. The visit is all part of a Free State British policy to normalise British rule in the 6 counties. In conclusion, the leadership of the Republican movement wishes to thank all who have assisted the Republican cause over the past year and call on you to continue this good work. towards the freedom and Poblack Illa Urin Abu.
Thanks, Chris. Margaret. Now to get to the main part of our ceremony, our commemoration, I'd like to introduce Chris Kilcommons here, who will deliver the oration. Chris from Calta, not far away from here, North Galway as well. So, Chris.
Carta agus a Comardre. I would like to welcome you all here today for the 106th anniversary of the Easter Rising. It is an honour and a privilege to be asked to speak here today. We are here today at this Republican plot in Donaghpatrick Cemetery to honour those that died for an All-Ireland Republic. For me, this is a place full of emotions. I live among the good people of Galway. I've seen them work hard and I've seen them share what they have. These are good, honourable people. They're the same in Roscommon and Mayo. They're the same in Cork and Tyrone and the rest of the 32 counties. Good, honest Irish people. Some of you may have seen the people of Newbridge open their homes and their hearts to people in distress. Good Newbridge is the old greeting from these parts. You gathered here today, you are the descendants of the people who were told to hell or to Connacht. You are the descendants of the people that survived penal laws, rack rents, evictions and the British genocide we call on Gortamore. You are the descendants of those who organised, who rose up and stood by Pearse and Mellows when they declared an All-Ireland Republic in arms on the steps of the GPO in Easter 1916. You are the descendants of the same people that voted and ratified on the same All-Ireland Republic in 1918. And we pledge our allegiance to that same Republic, to that same All-Ireland Republic here today. That glorious and honourable Republic that was proclaimed so that no Irish man or woman would be discriminated against, made go hungry or evicted or recruited to fight in foreign wars. I would like to pay tribute here today to those brave men and women who defend the All-Ireland Republic and continue to oppose the British occupation in the 6 counties. Today in the Free State we see with our own eyes corruption, homelessness, and homeless people dying on our city streets, and adults and children queuing for food, vulture funds and cuckoo funds block buying desperately needed homes. We see the people forced to pay the gambling debts of our wealthy oligarchs. We see the nation's natural resources sold off to private interests. This is what your ancestors fought against. These vulture funds are absentee landlords, and I'm sure that it was here in the west of Ireland that we created an antidote for the poison of the absentee landlord. We have Sleeveens and Gombeens from Leinster House regime who stand at the graves of Pearse and the signatories of the proclamation and state that it's a complex situation, that there are limits on what can be done, that it's outside of our control and there's lessons to be learned. I believe if Pearse could speak to them, he would tell them you bring dishonour to the proclamation and the sacrifices made for the Republic. Today we have those who would walk over the policy of neutrality advocated by Pearse in 1915. These John Redmonds Mark II would have your sons and daughters go over the top to their slaughter again, just to please the private corporations of their partners. If I may quote Mr. Chuck Berry here, it's a foolish man that lets the same dog bite him twice. So please send them away with a flea in their ear when they come banging the recruitment sergeant's drum. I quote that famous musician who is considered the king of rock and roll, and that is as near as monarchy as I could tolerate. They are those masquerading as Republicans that have sent greetings and congratulations to parasitic sectarian monarchs. They should wash their mouths out at the very least. They have no shame. The graves of the men we stand at today were revolutionaries. They fought against the limitations that would be imposed by Leinster House, Stormont, Westminster, or indeed Brussels. Leinster House and Stormont have proved beyond any shadow of a doubt that they don't have the best interests of the Irish people at heart, only the interests of themselves and their fat pensions. Leinster House is not Dáil Éireann and can never be Dáil Éireann, and those that know it should stop pretending such. Nobody has anything to fear from a 32-county republic. Those that wish to oppose it only wish to maintain lords and ladies in their castles, homelessness and hunger, corruption and corrupt politicians. For all the wrong that ails our country, there is a solution. That solution was drawn up by Republicans like Rory O'Brady and Daithí O'Connell. That solution is Éire Nua and Seal Nua. Éire Nua will establish a democratic system based on justice and equal rights. To quote Éire Nua, the new Ireland will have a national parliament to which all citizens of the 32 counties will give common allegiance, and which will embody the unity and sovereignty of the nation as a whole. This Parliament, a true Dáil Éireann, will have the responsibility of protecting the nation's interests at home and abroad. I have full confidence that this can be achieved as this was achieved before.
Remarkable, Chris. Thank you for a very, very stirring and truthful oration. And it wouldn't leave me with a lot more to say, but just to mention the era that we're in now, and to mention what's going on, and in the last couple of weeks, what we prophesied and what the people that Chris mentioned there in his speech, O'Brady, O'Connell, Finnell and others, that when the EC would take a grip that we joined up with in 1972, that we would have no rights to our destiny. And sure enough, it has happened. And if we see in the last week, with the few sods of tough that you cannot give tough to your neighbour from next September under Mr. Ryan, that's above in that house. And in all fairness, I blame his party for a lot of things. Maybe that's some good things, I don't know. But that certainly isn't one of them. But I certainly blame the two Free State parties that let him in, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. So then you will. So I'm just saying to the people of Galway, as I'll say tomorrow if I've anything to say in Mayo, keep cutting your turf, keep selling your turf if you have to, and don't stop for no one. That's my message from here, and that's a message from the Republican movement. Whatever we own, we own. But I would just like also to mention that people that has died since we were here last. But I'd like to especially mention, as Fo said in the Easter statement, our old warrior from Newport in Mayo, Dan Hoban, who was here year in, year out, through thick and thin, wet or dry. And Dan, we salute you and we miss you terribly. You died very, very suddenly last November. And, you know, it was sudden. And it's a shock and a loss, because people who go, and the staunch Republicans that we've had down the year, are very, very hard to replace. I couldn't leave here either without mentioning Dan's wife, Teresa, who's ill, and an aunt here to Pierce, and we wish her a speedy and it hopefully a good recovery. And I'd also remember all the Republicans that's buried in this graveyard, apart from the Republican plot here, fellas I knew myself, notably Joe Higgins over here and Joe Hode down there to our right. There are other people, and Mary Morden up at the back for what she done down through her years for republicanism. Not forgetting her husband, Bertrand, who I haven't seen in over 2 years because of this COVID. But hopefully we're thinking of you all today, and we're thinking of you, Bertie, and we're thinking of you, Teresa, and hopefully soon we'll be able to go in to see your people. We had very bad 2 years. This time last year it was only the local people that could lay a reed here. You couldn't travel any further than 2 or 3 miles from your home. So we were very tied up, but at least we're getting back. And hopefully next year we'll get it back, and we'll get Donaghpatrick back to what it used to be. Our Piper is not in great health, so we wish him well as well. He was always here. And at that Harja, Gormila Margie, I sucked the Hachtamacher East, the weather cleared up for us. So tomorrow, Kilkelly at 11:45 at the monument in Mayo. If there's anyone that can make it, we really appreciate it, because ourselves and the Mayo people worked hand in hand down through the years. They'd come here and we'd go down there. And sadly, we're getting thinner on the ground in both counties and indeed all over Ireland. But we will rise again. Gormila Margaret.